Hey guys, this is episode 10 of Unafraid, coming at you remotely. We're not in the same room this time. We had some stuff we wanted to get out there to you based on some of your questions and comments on YouTube and in Eddie's social media, and just a couple of questions I had surrounding the launch for Eddie. So Eddie, I'm just going to hit you rapid fire with some of these questions and just tell us what you're thinking.
Got you. I'm going to answer in a rapid fire like type manner.
Good deal. Okay. First off, you've been putting out some gear content. You talked about your everyday carry.
This is all your fault, by the way.
Right.
This is all your fault.
Guess what had the most views, right?
Right. Yeah, you won.
But what people might not understand. Okay, I'm a as you would call it, a gun dork, right? I know way too much detail. I build guns. I collect guns. I write about guns. You're not a gun guy. You're an end user. Just because you use guns overseas and you carry one on a daily basis, you're not necessarily an enthusiast.
No, definitely not. I respect guns. I know what they can do, and I love what they can do, and I'm very good at using them. But I don't get into the nitty gritty of what this one could do, the grains or what model. It just doesn't interest me. I love firearms. I love what they can do. I don't give a crap what their names are and whatever. I know if they can work, I want to use them. If they don't work, I don't want to use them. That's it.
And no level of memorization or enthusiasm could compensate for the real world experience that you have. So that's the bottom line. There's a million guys out there who know a lot of stuff about guns, but they've never used
which we've learned off of media. Yeah. Holy crap.
A lot of keyboard commandos.
There are millions of guys that are qualified to talk about a firearm that shoot paper targets or read magazines. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed.
They don't even do that. They probably just talk smack on comments
or that. But yeah. I was like, who are these children?
Right. Okay.
Whatever.
Enough on that. I just wanted to throw that out there. Talk to us a little bit. And this is something that was a learning experience for me as we created Unafraid. There are cultural differences between the West Coast and the East Coast SEAL teams. Talk to us about that and why you wanted to be part of one over the other.
Got you. And I have not served on the West Coast, so I really don't know exactly. I know just from being there for Buds and the friends I talked to. But when I was going through Buds, it was always talked to as the West Coast as the Hollywood teams because they get to go up and they get to, be extras on movies and whatever. They get the beach of San Diego, which is freaking awesome, where Virginia Beach was not like that. It's kind of more, one thing that really I liked about the East Coast team is they are next to our tier 1 unit. So if someone needs a break or they possibly get in trouble, they have to go down to the regular teams. They're going to send them to the East Coast because they're not going to send them all the way across the country unless it's like they're moving for a big tour because of money for expense reasons. So I just wanted to go there. That was it, hands down. I didn't want to even stay on the West Coast whatsoever.
So you get the mentorship from the guys who have served in the tier 1.
Absolutely. And that's not saying that the West Coast doesn't have that. I'm just saying it's more on the East Coast for sure.
And you had some pretty significant mentors on that front when you were a brand new guy.
Oh, I had a couple of guys that were from the tier 1 unit. It was amazing. They made me. I mean, they were big time mentors that formed me into a better operator for sure.
And made you want to choose the squadron you did because that's where they came from, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You are who you surround yourself with, right?
Yeah, for sure. So on that kind of same theme, talk to us about the white side or the traditional SEALs teams versus the tier 1 unit. You watch movies. We'll talk about the TV show in a second. Everybody that kind of is out there probably assumes that all SEALs are doing these missions that they see on the news and see in the movies, and not that they're not capable of that, but there are differences. So talk to me about that.
There is one major difference is funding. Tier 1 units get way more funding. They have more assets, better assets than the regular SEAL teams. And I say that by the number of SEAL teams, like 2, 8. But our tier 1 unit, they definitely have more. I'm not saying that these individuals that are at the SEAL teams are not good to go. They are awesome. That is where I went. I had a great time there. I learned a ton. They are capable of doing some great things, but they don't get that a lot of the times just because they're not a tier 1 unit. And usually with the big high value target or certain operations, it's going to go to your tier 1 units on both the Army side, the Navy side, and then obviously because you get the assets from the Marines, from the Air Force, like your PJs and your CCT. So you got all these like studs and whatever their specialty is, and they're all in one unit. And those are the ones that we send forward to do these special targets. So it's not, and again, I want to make sure I'm not taking away from where I came from, like a team 2 or team 7 or team 10 or whatever it is. Those guys are still good to go, but they just don't get the funding and they really do not get the operations as the tier 1 unit does.
It's just a different job.
Yeah. If it's like during Iraq and Afghanistan, when we needed everyone doing everything, everyone was doing some good stuff, but still your tier 1 units are going to be doing your high value targets.
Yeah. And I'm not at all trying to diminish. I'm just trying to tell folks.
No. Yeah. I want to make sure I'm definitely not ripping on them because that's where I came from, man. I had a blast there. It was awesome.
And I wasn't on any of them. So I had no room to. Okay. Let's switch gears a little back to gear. When we sat down a while back and we're talking about gear and things like that, you were, and actually we had this conversation the very first night that you and I met at the sushi place and talking about red dot sights on handguns. You were against, now you're using one. What changed?
I guess getting comfortability of it. I was just never used it. I mean, I did 2 decades of using my iron sights. So bringing something new, I was not about it. It would seem bulkier. I'm looking for things that could break. I mean, that just looks like it's going to break, but I've used it a few times and it looks really cool. So I just started using it. I was like, heck, I'll throw it on there and I'll use it. You can acquire your target so much faster, but I still dig the iron sights. But yeah, I made the switch. Never say never, right?
Yeah. And we're guys in our mid 40s and our eyesight is getting a little bit worse every day.
Exactly. I'm
not quite there yet. I have several red dot handguns, but I don't carry them because I'm still slower picking up the dot than I am with irons from, like you said, decades of doing it the other way. But I absolutely recognize that it's a better mousetrap if you can get trained up on it. Okay. So what folks may not know is you've got a relationship with the SEAL Future Foundation. They helped you. In releasing Unafraid, we're going to help them. Tell us a little bit about that.
We definitely are. So the SEAL Future Foundation helps transitioning SEALs getting out, like getting jobs. I think that's where it pretty much started, was getting jobs. But now it's moving into getting medical care that they need. And they're going above that. They're also helping their spouses. Because what they've realized is that we can take care of the team member, the SEAL, all day long. But if you're not giving the same attention to the spouse, you got to have both in the household on the same wavelength. And they're realizing that, I mean, our divorce rate is over 90%. It takes a toll on the spouses 100%. So they both need certain treatments to be able to build that life, take care of their kids, and live a happy life after they serve their country. So that is one thing they do. And I was like, I just fell in love with it. They sent me I got the gangling block shots in my neck, some talk therapy stuff, just helping people get, someone reached out to Amanda, my wife, on media. They said, hey, can you hook us up with somebody? We're trying to go out here. I can't remember what it was. So she told me about this. I told one of the board members from the SEAL Future Foundation, who's a good friend. Those two got connected. They connected this guy with a job out in, I think it was somewhere out west, a job, a house. He's starting a business. Like everything just fell into place. So now instead of like freaking out, trying to figure stuff out, he's good to go. Like he's going to go out there, start a business, got it already ready to go, a new house and everything. It's like, and I saw, I'm like, this is beautiful. Like we need to be doing this a lot more. And I just fell in love. So what you and I talked about is that we're going to give, for our sales, 10% is going to go to the SEAL Future Foundation because we want to give back. You're 100% on board, which I admire, because it's, and then obviously I am, because they help me and like I can see what they do, and they are just a phenomenal organization. So we definitely want to give back.
Yeah, it seems like they can help smooth out that transition.
It's a scary time,
and that's the time that, you know, they're, again, not having gone through it, but knowing people and knowing what's out there. That's the time when people have their tragedies, right? Is in that transition phase.
And that's where the abuse comes in, alcohol, other substances, and suicide. It's a really hard time. It's the dark years, so they really got to watch that. And we're starting to pick up on it from before. We really weren't doing it, and now we're doing a little bit better, I think. So this organization is good to go. I definitely stand by them.
Yeah, and if we can help one guy and his family, it'll be worth.
That's great. Oh, absolutely. So
okay.
If they buy the book, it's helping out
right.
future or retired SEALs or guys getting out.
And their families.
That's right.
So when I met you, you're a big dude still scary, but you were like full on Hulkster. What have you been doing different workout wise, diet wise? Did you make a conscious effort to be more mobile and leaner?
Well, a couple things happened. One, I got diagnosed with diabetes type 2, which
I think it's pronounced diabetes.
Diabetes. Sorry. I got diabetes type 2, which is weird because I was talking to a guy that's sort of my blood work right now, and they're finding that the anthrax vaccination is causing guys to get type 2 diabetes.
Interesting.
It is very interesting. So those vaccines are maybe not the greatest thing. It's weird.
At least you don't have anthrax, though.
That's true. So I cleaned up my diet a lot from that. And then I started doing a lot of fighting probably a little over 2 years ago. So Muay Thai, boxing, some MMA and jiu-jitsu, of course. Started doing that and then kind of cut back on the weightlifting to do more of the cardio stuff, the fighting stuff. But, I probably lift maybe 3 to 4 times a week now, where it was before it was probably 6 to 8. And I do fighting probably anywhere from 2 to 5 times. It just depends on how I feel, what's going on with the work schedule, all that stuff. But yeah, a lot of things have changed. I've lost a lot of fat. I don't have a lot of fat on me. A lot of it's diet, but I picked up the cardio quite a bit, and I hate cardio. So if I'm going to do cardio, I'm going to do the fight training because at least I'm learning.
Do you feel better?
I feel 100% better.
Okay.
I feel way better. Absolutely.
I'll say I don't think anybody feels better being heavier within reason.
No, I don't think so. I kind of miss like the strength that I had, but this is a better try. I like this side better.
Right.
Faster.
Yeah, I was bigger at one point, but now I can sleep through the night without my shoulder pain waking me up.
Right?
I'll take skinny fat Keith. All right, this is a question that came straight off of YouTube, and I'm going to read these the way they were written. What type of knives did you other tier 1 guys use on ops?
Winkler was a big one. We would get Winkler knives made. He's out of Virginia Beach, I believe, or North Carolina or somewhere over there. But we'd use his knives. We'd usually have them made for our team, and we'd use those. Other knives, fixed blade, yeah. Always had a fixed blade right here. And then bench made might be one.
A little 8-year-old intervention there.
That's so awesome.
Can I get something to eat? I'm like, if you're hungry, eat. You don't have to ask.
And bring me a sandwich while you're
That's
at
right.
it.
Yeah.
Bench made sometimes. I think that's what was issued, but usually we'd go with the Winkler at the tier 1 level. We'd go get custom made stuff.
Cool. It's funny. You're not a gun dork. I'm not a knife dork. I have knives. I have cool knives. I use them. I don't know anything about them. If I lose one, it's not the end of the world. To me, they're a tool, probably the way a gun
that's the way I see it too. They're just tools. But if I had Winkler and half face blades are my favorite by far. Beto out of half face blades, he makes some good stuff for sure. Like they are just sexy looking.
Yeah, I've got I can see my half face blades knife from where I sit right now.
It's funny because I got his little spike right here. Don't know why it's here. But
I think mine's a Crow Junior.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
So, and based on what I read the other day, it's worth about 3 or 4 times what I paid for it. So it turns out I accidentally made a good investment.
Oh, he's so busy right now. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Okay, enough knife nerding out.
I like your t-shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Like unafraid.com. You too can have one.
It's not unafraid.com. It's eddiepenny.com.
Whatever.
What are you trying to do, man?
I'm just trying to brand you. I want you to have to buy that. I want you to have to buy that domain.
I'm like, I can't see anything here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to buy that domain.
No, I know you are. That was you would think. I guess I have so much unafraid on the brain right now that I can't disconnect the two.
Yeah, you kind of just bought a business, didn't you?
That's right. Okay, another question from the interwebs. What type of hand-to-hand training did you receive?
in the teams, we did a thing called Fight Club, and I believe it was, I could be off on the days, but Mondays were jujitsu. Tuesdays were like combatives, like you would just do combatives with your weapon on dummies, red man suits. Wednesdays was jujitsu again. Thursday was Muay Thai, and then Friday was boxing. That's usually what it was. And then you go to like certain schools if you wanted to go. I went to Golden Glory Muay Thai over in Holland for 2 weeks. I got destroyed. It was such a, Alistar Overeem was in there training when we, like with the first day we walked in there, he's like sparring 3 dudes. Dude was a beast, probably 270. He's a big boy.
Isn't it where Boss Rutan came out of?
So Boss Rutan came out of there, and then that school, Decker, I think Decker was their name. They're the first guys to ever go to Thailand to beat the Thais at their sport.
Oh, wow.
So Dutch style kickboxing is a lot more power, a little bit different than Muay Thai. Muay Thai is more of like kind of stay in the pocket and freaking just take it real fast. But Dutch, it was cool. It's a very humbling experience. So you do things like that. You can do jujitsu camps, like do a week of just jujitsu. But I didn't do it that long. I probably did a year and a half, maybe 2. And then I just wanted to lift weights. So like it was effective. I just wanted to be a bigger dude. It was my therapy. I like the lifting. I wish I would have stayed with it. I really do. But there was always options for you to go fight. You could always go to the local, I think it was Machado there in Virginia Beach. You could go train for free. The command would pay for you to go. And you could just, if you're in town, you can go for free.
Yeah, and I talked to one of our mutual friends, one of your former teammates this morning about something else. And he mentioned those guys now are doing a lot more combatives than they
I'm sure. I'm sure. Yeah.
A lot more emphasis.
Yeah. UFC is getting popular, man.
And I guess
it's needed. It's needed.
And when guys aren't necessarily constantly training for an overseas deployment, it's a different skill set they got to build up.
100%. Yeah.
So, okay. This comes straight out of Rogue Warrior by Dick Marcinko. Can you bench 500 pounds?
No.
Shoulder says, niet.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of team guys I can.
Yeah,
there's definitely a couple, but yeah.
That one always struck me as pretty funny. I actually met him in high school.
Oh, did you?
And he was a big dude.
He's a big dude.
Yeah, he's probably in the 60s at the time, but 500's a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot, especially when you say your whole team's doing it.
Right. Okay, another question from YouTube. Is your LCP holster a Black Point Tactical? You talked about your LCP in your EDC video.
It's not.
Okay.
No, I just got that off of Amazon.
But they make awesome holsters.
Yes, they do. Black Point does.
Okay. I want to make sure this is what I want to read verbatim. How long is breaching school and how many Benjamins have you got in all that serious ink?
3 weeks is breacher school.
Okay.
A lot, but thank God they were all friends. So not as much as you probably think, but if I went to a standard person who didn't know me or we weren't buddies, oh man, buddy, probably around 2025.
You'd have that new truck.
Yeah, I would have a lot of things.
And breaching school is not a one and done. I mean, you continually train for that.
So you do the school to get the basics, you get the certificate, so you can go back to your team, be a breacher, and then you start doing it, and then you start bringing up other guys, and then you get to the tier 1 units, and you kind of start testing things and making sure, see if things can work, make things lighter, make things faster, make things penetrate a little bit better. So it's ever evolving, and it's just like you learn, your manual, your explosive, mechanical, and then you kind of go to the lock picking and the alarm bypassing. Now we want to work on cars. Like it just came out, then safes, ship hatches. I mean, there's all kind of things to get in.
Okay, this is another one from from YouTube, I believe. How's it feel to have Hollywood pretend to be you?
I think it's cool. I mean, I know when I was a kid or growing up, I always appreciated those kind of movies. I mean, Navy SEALs, I probably got in most of the team guys that are starting to retire right now. I think it's awesome. I think it's good to show the world like what these guys do. They show a lot of more of the, ops as if they were the coolest ops in the world. A lot of them aren't like that. But I personally don't have a problem with it. I mean, if it's entertaining, then rock on, you know?
Yeah. And like you said, if it recruits and motivates the next generation.
Exactly. That stuff. I mean, like,
yeah.
that's a huge recruiting tool.
Okay. Back to the YouTube comments. May I know how many 30 rounder mags you carry? That may not have come from somebody in the US.
I would always put 28 rounds in my magazines. I would never do 30. Because they
talk about the why on that.
Well, they could get jammed for one, and you want to have that play. So we'd always load them up 28. And that's just, to be honest with you, what I was taught.
And it locks
28.
And when you've got a closed bolt, it locks into place far easier on 28.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. When you get 30 in there, it's a little weird. That top round's just weird. You can cause jams, just bad things happen. So it's better to play safe than sorry. And it would depend on the operation. The lowest I would ever carry would be 4. And that would be not often. Usually I would have 7 on me, 1 in the gun, and usually maybe 1 more in my back. It just depends. Afghanistan and Iraq are different entities. So it just really depends. And it depends on where you're going in those countries. But I would say on average, probably 7. 6 on me right here, and then 1 in the gun. So that'd be.
Got it. Okay. This one, I didn't really expect to see this one in the comments, but so be it. Do you have to be gay to be tier 1?
Absolutely.
Okay. I thought about this morning. I was starting my smoker and I was thinking about this interview, and your life would have been a lot simpler if you were gay.
It would have been.
There wouldn't be a book, right? All the drama would have just disappeared.
It would have been gone.
Yeah.
But I'm not gay, so. Yeah.
Okay. So this is, I think I sort of adapted this one from a question. Special operators who are out there publicly get shit for not being, quote, quiet professionals. What are your thoughts on that?
That's one of the most questions that I hear right there. And I understand that, but there's 2 sides. When I was like, why are people talking about this? Why are you writing a book? Why are you doing this? I was definitely that guy. When I got out, a little bit different. I was like, man, we go off of history. We learn from history. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, a doctor that does great things is teaching other medical students on how to do those great things. Lawyers, correct? Hey, in this case, they did this. So we're learning from these guys. Being a SEAL or an operator is no different in my mind. Like take Black Hawk Down, for example. That op where we lost those, I think it was 19 servicemen over there in Somalia. That was horrible. That was tragedy. But from that, it changed the Spec Ops community. We learned so much from those guys. The way we learned it by those guys coming out and telling us, hey, we didn't do this. We should have done this. We didn't do this. We should have done this. Like we did this. Wish we didn't do this. And that's how you learn. So I disagree. I don't have a problem with guys coming out and talking about it, but there's a difference between a guy that says, hey, look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me. And there's a guy that says, hey, this is kind of went down. This is what happened. Here's what we learned. Here's where we screwed up. Here's where we triumphed. And I have no problem with that personally. Some guys want nothing. They want you to not talk about it. And that just makes no sense to me because you're not going to get guys to come in. You got to motivate them to come in. You got to give them the history. I mean, I'm sure you've read some great Vietnam books. I've read tons about being the SEAL, Carlos Hathcock, Marine Sniper. Yeah. Like those histories made me wanted to go into the military, and you will learn from their mistakes and their triumphs. So I personally, this is Eddie talking. I don't have a problem with it. But again, there's the look at me, look at me, look at me, and there's the hey, here's what we learned. Here's what we could have done better. Here's what really got us success. That's different. I mean, dude, history's history.
Yeah, the way I look at it, it was, you had the Vietnam generation, let's say in the SEAL teams. Those guys influenced the guys in the 70s and 80s because they were still around. And then those guys influenced you and guys of your generation when you came on board. Now guys of your generation are influencing the next generation. It's an institutional knowledge that gets passed down. Otherwise, you have to relearn all those lessons in blood every time. Exactly. That's not to say give away secrets. I mean, we ran this through DOD. They approved everything in the book. But yeah, not only that, and to, like we talked about the movies, like to motivate the next generation to join. Mm-hmm. That's, you and I read a lot of the same books growing up, and they were life-changing. So, yeah. And there's a final piece on your book that I'll mention is this isn't all about war stories and telling secrets. It's about life, and it's about overcoming a lot of the challenges. And if it helps guys coming out of that career path, or helps their spouses understand what they're going through, or helps their children understand what mom and dad might have been going through, it's worth telling that story.
Absolutely. And I firmly believe that. And I know you do as well. And we talked about this in great depth before we started writing this. So
for sure.
Yeah. And I think it will. I know it will.
Okay. Here's one I'm going to throw at you that you're not prepared for. Any thoughts on the armed citizen taking out the mall shooter in Indiana?
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it's great. That just goes to show good guys with guns do great things. And it's not going to say that you're going to stop every active shooter, but instead of having 14 victims, maybe now we only have 3 victims.
Right.
So it just makes it better. And it's very unfortunate that happened, but good on that concealed carrier taking out the threat. That's awesome.
Yeah, kudos for that guy to step up. Yeah, that
Absolutely.
guy stepped up and punched way beyond his weight. He's obviously put in a lot of time.
Yep. Because a lot of guys carry and would have been running. They wouldn't have been doing anything like that because they just get the little course. They carry, oh, look at me, I carry, but no, you got to train. You got to be ready for it. Put yourself through stress tests and see how you're going to react when something real does happen.
Yeah.
Because you shooting a target, a paper target or steel, it's not the same as somebody shooting back at you or you actually witnessing someone taking out other people. Your body changes. Physics happen.
He obviously had a good mindset.
Absolutely.
Didn't stand around for 47 minutes waiting for the Border Patrol SWAT team to show up. He got it done.
I feel like we're talking about another incident.
Maybe. I'm getting confused. Okay. One last question, and I know the answer. How excited are you about this book?
I can't wait, buddy. I am so excited. Like, we spent a lot of time in this. And I know it's going to help a lot of people. It's going to reach a lot of people. It's going to hit that heart, which is beautiful. But I'm super, super stoked. And I'm just so thankful that we were able to do this. DOD didn't chop it up like we kind of maybe worried they would have. So the story's out there, very vulnerable and for a good reason. So God's got it from here, and that's it.
Yeah.
Super
if you guys
excited.
out there, if you want to read something raw and honest and genuine, this is the book. So far we're a couple days out from launch right now. By the time this airs, it'll probably be about launch time. And so far the feedback from dozens of people has been fantastic.
Here's a question for you. How excited are you?
I'm excited. I'm excited. I'm really pumped. It's cool to see this finally come to fruition. Obviously a lot of work went into it, and still, even though I've done this a couple times before, still kind of nervous. Like what's going to happen? So it's all good.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
It's going to be good.
Great. Well, that's all I've got for you. EddiePenny.com, not unafraid.com.
That's right. We're working on the Unafraid right now.
Check out the book. It'll be on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, other retailers. While I'm thinking about it, audiobook's not going to be out right away. Why is that?
Because I'm going to record it the first week in August. So record that, and then it comes out, I believe, end of October, beginning middle of November, I believe.
Yeah, you made the choice. You wanted to narrate it yourself to really get those emotions.
You and I battled a little bit. I kind of wanted you to do it, but I think it makes more sense. And I know what we're going to do is, I know I'm going to get choked up. I know it's going to get emotional, and we're leaving it in the book so we can draw in the audience. And I just don't want to, I'm going to keep it as real as possible.
Yeah.
I really like the transparency. I appreciate it. All the emotion that went into this of writing this piece. It was a lot more than I've ever dealt with, to be honest with you, is writing this. I've never cried so freaking much in my life, man. It's insane. Right. As you know.
We'll write a happy book next time.
You're right. Clifford the Big Red Dog. Perfect.
That's right. Okay, great. Thanks, Eddie. And thanks, everybody.
All right, guys. See ya.